You can increase your capital and credit limit almost every time without a hard pull if you follow these steps. And with higher limits, you got way more breathing room. Your overall usage rate drops, which instantly boosts up your credit score by as much as 100 points. And let's not forget the peace of mind that comes with having enough headroom to tackle those big purchases like home repairs or renovations without stressing about hitting your limit. And here's what I got lined up for you. I'll walk you through exactly how I filled out my capital and credit limit increase form to get 8 raises in just a few years, the 3 biggest mistakes that people make that tank their credit limit increase shot, and which 2 Capital One cards actually play nice when it comes to growing your credit limit. One of the things I love most about Capital One is their rock solid pre-approval system. It's been reliable for years, helping people check their odds of approval without risking a hard inquiry on their credit report. But Capital One isn't the only one doing this. There's actually dozens of other credit card issuers offering the same kind of soft pull pre-approvals. And that's exactly why I put together a free credit card pre-approval master list. It includes over 70 credit cards that you can check for pre-approval without triggering a hard pull. I update this list monthly, so it's always current. And if you're tired of getting dinged just for checking your options, this is a must-have resource. I'll drop a link to that below so you can get instant access. Now, let's start with the foundation, because if you skip this part, you're setting yourself up for instant disappointment. Your Capital One card needs to be at least 3 months old. And you can think of this like dating, you don't ask someone to move in after 1 week. So Capital One wants to see where things are going before committing to more. And you can only be approved for a credit limit increase once every 6 months. So if you got your card last month and feel tempted to just try, you want to resist that urge. Almost everyone who applies too early gets hit with an instant denial. Next, you want to update your income strategically. This part is pure leverage and most people just overlook it. So inside your Capital One account, there's an option to update your annual income. You want to do this before applying for an increase. And here's what most people don't even know. You can actually use your household income. That includes your spouse, your partner, or even a roommate legally. So Capital One lets you report income accessible to you, and this bumps up your credibility big time. And if you can, aim to list at least $150,000+. That's the psychological and algorithmic sweet spot that gets Capital One to loosen up. But here's the deal. Don't go crazy with the numbers. So if you suddenly say, you make $300K while working part-time at a smoothie shop, they will get spooked and instantly deny you. Instead, increase it gradually. If you put $80K last time, raise it to $100K or $120K this time. Show a natural progression. And Capital One has literally given out auto credit limit increases just from income updates alone. So imagine getting more credit without even asking for it. And one Reddit user reported that after Capital One mailed them asking them to update their income without even requesting a credit limit increase, they submitted the update and then soon saw their limit double. And here's exactly what they said. No, it won't do a hard pull on your credit. They did the same for me and doubled my limit. The next thing you want to do is lower your credit utilization. This is the part that makes or breaks so many people. Capital One systems don't care how nice you are. If you're running up high balances, they assume you're risky even if you always pay on time. The magic number is you want to have under a 10% utilization across all your credit cards. So for example, if you have a $50K total credit limit, try to keep your total balance under $5K. But for this credit limit increase request specifically, get your Capital One card to $0 before you apply. You want to think of it like, cleaning your house before company comes over. You want to make the best impression before asking for more credit. And high utilization is one of the top reasons people get denied, even when everything else looks great. And then you want to swipe your card often. And Capital One wants their cards to stay top of wallet, meaning that they want you to use them as your go-to primary card for everyday spending. So if you let your card sit in the sock drawer, Capital One assumes you don't even need more credit. Why would they give you more room if you're barely using what you have? So here's the play. You want to make at least 15 transactions per month. So you want to get close to your limit, like $490 out of $500, and then pay it off every 2 to 3 days. That's the formula, consistent usage plus consistent payoff. So you want to use it for gas, groceries, streaming subscriptions, Uber rides, even coffee runs, your phone bill. So the point isn't just to use the card, it's to show activity plus responsibility. This triggers their internal system to go, okay, this person is serious. Let's bump up their limit. And listen, you got to know your statement date. This part flies under the radar, but it matters big time for your credit score. Your statement date is the day Capital One reports your balance to the credit bureaus. That's not your due date though. So if you have a $1,500 balance on the day your statement closes, that's what gets reported even if you pay it off the next day. So always aim to pay off your card in full before your statement date and not just before your due date. This keeps your reported utilization low and protects your score. And here's something I wish I knew earlier, and that's to use other high limit cards as leverage. This is really where you can hack the system in your favor. Capital One doesn't operate in a vacuum. They look at your profile and say, Chase gave this person $25,000. Maybe we should match that. So your job is to get a high limit card from other banks first. My two best options I like are Navy Federal Credit Union. I've seen a lot of people get approved for that. If you got a military connection, they're legendary for high limits. And then PenFed Credit Union, they're open to everyone, surprisingly, and also generous with their limits. So if you can get a $25K card somewhere else, you can raise up your anchor limit. Capital One and others will often try to match and come close to that anchor limit. So let's talk about how to request a credit limit increase without a hard pull. This is the part that everyone asks about. But the good news is that Capital One only does a soft pull, so your credit score is always going to stay safe. There's actually 3 ways to request a credit limit increase with Capital One. First is via the website or desktop, and this is actually the method that I've always used to get all 8 of my increases so far. Now, first you log into your account on a desktop. Then you want to click I want to, and then request a credit limit increase. Then answer the following questions carefully. For annual income, you want to use your household income, not just your income. Aim for 150K plus if you can, and higher income equals higher approval odds. Then employment status, you want to select employed. Even if you run your own business and pay yourself, you're employed by your business. Then for monthly rent and mortgage, you want to enter your portion only. Keep your reported expenses lower if you can. Now, for monthly spend estimate, you want to input at least 10% of your credit limit you want. So for example, if you're asking for a 30K limit, say you'll spend $3,000 per month at least on that card. Now, for desired credit limit, request $30,000 or more. Many users report this is a soft cap for Capital One, but I've seen people with the Ventrex card getting approved for higher limits than that though. So for the reason for the increase, you want to type in, I expect higher expenses over the next few months. This really shows an increased need for credit for an extended period of time. Another way that you can ask for an increase is by phone using their automated system too. So you can call the number on the back of your card and then follow the prompts to request a credit limit increase. You'll basically answer the same questions, but you're going to be using your voice and the keypad. And the third way is inside the mobile app. If you're in the Capital One app, you're going to click on your profile, then account and feature settings, and then request a credit line increase. And it's a similar form with a few less questions. But listen, I know a bunch of questions might be bouncing around your head right now. So let's clear those things up right now. Let's say you're thinking, what if I've done all this and still got denied? That's a totally fair question. And you're really not even alone here. Even if you've updated your income, paid down your balances, used the card regularly, Capital One can still hit you with a no. It's frustrating, but here's what you can do. You want to wait 90 plus days before trying again. So don't just reapply in a few weeks. You're wasting a request. In the meantime, double check your utilization, shoot for under 10% across all cards and update your income again, even if it's only a modest bump. Also, don't ignore that letter they send you in the mail. They'll usually tell you exactly why you were denied. Use that to your advantage next time. Another question you might have is, does the type of Capital One card I have matter? And really the answer here is yes, it really does matter. So here's the breakdown. The Ventrex card and the Saver card, these cards are actually built to grow. If you're going to push for, 10K, 20K, or even a $30,000 limit, these are the best bets for that. So the Quicksilver, the Platinum, and the Secure cards that they have, like the Journey cards, they're a little more stingy. You can still request an increase, but you may be capped lower unless you product change to a better card. So if you're working your way up from a starter card, consider calling in and asking for a product change first, then go for a credit limit increase after that. I've had success with this myself, upgrading from the Quicksilver to the Ventrex, and it gave me back-to-back increases over a 2-month period. Another question you probably have is, can this hurt my credit score at all? And that's a big no. That's the beauty of it. Capital One uses a soft pull only, so even if you get denied, your score stays untouched. And if you want to know how often you should request a credit limit increase, Here's really the rhythm that I found works best. Your first increase request should come at that 3-month mark. That's once you've built your usage history and updated your income. Now, after you get approved for your first increase, you want to wait 6 months before requesting another increase. And if you actually get denied, you want to wait 90 plus days before trying again. If you stick to this timeline, you'll give yourself the best odds and avoid hitting Capital One's internal, too soon trigger. But listen, now I got to show you the little things that really sabotage your credit limit increase requests. So don't fall into these traps. You don't want to put self-employed or unemployed. This triggers delays and denials. So always use employed if you pay yourself. And then don't report income and expenses that look unrealistic. This can flag your request and get manually reviewed. If you don't want to apply too soon after a denial, you got to wait at least 90 days or you'll likely get denied again on the spot. And by the way, banks seem to love this 90-day time frame because I've found that you can even increase your Chase credit limit every 90 days. Yeah, I'm not kidding. So click right here on the next video to see how 4 Chase cardholders got hit with a denial. Then use one phone call, that's one phone call, and a few magic words to unlock up to $5,000 in extra credit. Plus, how you can steal my script and use it to copy this winning process for yourself. Thank you for watching.